Hi, welcome to episode 454 of the Corner of Knit and Tea. My name is Laura. I'm also known as Fluffy Kira on Twitter, Instagram, and Blue Sky. I blog over at thecornerofknitandtea.com, which is where every episode show notes and my knitting patterns and everything reside, or you can find my knitting patterns also on the Corner of Knit and Tea on Etsy, where I sell my handspun yarns. So I hope that you are doing well. It is Tuesday, December 26th, a rare Tuesday when I am recording, and we have just finished celebrating Christmas here in the United States. I know many of you are probably celebrating Boxing Day today. If you are overseas, or I guess not even overseas, because I think Canada celebrates Boxing Day. So I know some of you are celebrating Boxing Day today. I hope you are enjoying your winter break. I am back at work today, but I am on my lunch hour, and I thought I would come chat with you for just a few. I don't think I'll be as chatty as last week, and I know I do not have that much to show you just because there's been lots going on. So I hope that you're doing well. Today I am curling up with some Christmas Eve tea from Stash. It is oranges and mint and a little bit of vanilla, and it is one of my favorite blends. I ordered a box a while ago. I have like hundreds of these. But so I am drinking that today in the Bean Mug, which is actually a local coffee place, but I am drinking tea today, and it smells delicious. It has gotten very cold over the last day or two. Our weather this past week was in the 50s and 60s, and the rain held off, so we did go celebrate on Saturday night. We went to the light show, and it was not exactly what I was expecting. It was I was expecting a sort of a walk through some trails with lights. It was like a maze and toys and all kinds of things. It was a little bit more of a, I don't even know. There were a ton of people there. It was a little crowded. And actually my favorite part was it was held in a baseball park. And so we spent some time down on the floor, you know, where the diamond would be. And that's kind of the maze and like a lot of the things, the lights that there were to see. But then you could actually walk up on the upper decks kind of around the field, and you could see everything from up above. And then they also put food and shopping up on the upper decks, and there were a bunch of different artisans. So we got a Christmas ornament. We got a gingerbread coffee cake, which was delicious. And so we just kind of wandered around up there, and it was really, really nice. And then on Christmas Eve, it rained. And it rained a little bit yesterday as well. And today it is in the 20s, and we had snow flurries this morning. So we missed a little bit of a white Christmas, but it is nice and chilly. And so I have a warm mug of tea and a warm woolen sweater, and I'm just kind of hanging out today. So I am back at work, but it's not too busy. You know, it's always kind of quiet the week between Christmas and New Year's. So getting some work done, putting in some time on some projects, and just taking things a little slow. So let's talk about the crafting that I did. I actually didn't do as much crafting as I thought I might over the weekend, just because we were up and about and I was cooking and all kinds of things. But I do have a few things to show you. So I finished another Christmas tree. I've talked about these for a couple weeks now. I did the large one, and I finished it in time for Christmas, so it went up on the mantle along with the other one. This one is knit out of Briggs and Little. It was some leftover yarn I had from some felted slippers that I made a ways back, and it was green, and then it's also got kind of like red flecks in it, so it's a little bit tweedy looking. And I used the same pattern, which I will link in the show notes, or I may not link it in the show notes because I think it's only available on Ravelry. But basically you just start up at the top and you work your way down, and I just kept trying it on my cone, and then I used these pearlized pins to go ahead and put them in. And I tried the gather again and was fairly successful, but it still is a little off balance. So what I did is I put in 4 of these pins on the bottom, and they just kind of rest on the pins on the mantle, and it's kind of perfect. So yes, so that is the big one. So I have the big one and the medium done. I didn't get to the small one before Christmas. I might try and finish it off in the next couple days, and then when I pack everything away, I'll pack these all away for next year. But the red one and the green one looked really pretty on the mantle next to the stockings and everything. So that was kind of my one little finish. So let's talk about what's on the needles. I have two projects that you've seen before that I will show you rather quickly, and then I have one brand new one. And so the blanket is coming along. I am in the home stretch because I am on the last two balls of yarn, and both of them are down to about half. So these are what I have left. I know you probably can't tell how big those are, but that is what I have left to finish the project. I am using Malabrigo Rios, which is a superwash a superwash plied yarn from Malabrigo. It is machine washable, and it suggests you not stick it in the dryer, but I have. It does change the feel of the fabric just a little bit. But when making things that are meant to be used for babies and children, I always try and use superwash because and I expect that they will go in the washer and the dryer. So this is Malabrigo Rios, and the colorway that I'm using is called Blue Jeans, and I bought 5 skeins for this project, and I am into all the skeins. I kind of alternated and switched off, and so I am every 2 rows I'm changing balls of yarn because I want this to be roughly, I didn't want there to be any pooling or anything. Malabrigo kettle dyes their yarn, and so sometimes their skeins can be kind of off. You also want to make sure your skeins are in the same dye lot because Malabrigo dye lots do vary. Especially on, I don't know as much on some of the semi-solid colors, but I know on the variegated colorways they do. So I am getting really nicely into this blanket. Like I said, I don't have that much left. I'm sure I have several more repeats, but my hope is that I can finish this week. This is a pattern of my own design, and it's a little hard to see in the light, but let's see if I can, there you go, oop, right into the T. Right into the T. Okay, so this is the pattern. It's kind of a chevron pattern made with knits and pearls, and when it blocks out, it will be a little less wrinkly and a little bit more obvious. And then I have an I-cord edging that will go around all sides of the blanket. So I have several more repeats. My guess is between 5 and 7, and my plan is to hopefully finish this up this week and this coming weekend. We don't have a lot of plans for New Year's. We have a few, but not a lot. And so my hope is that I will get lots of good knitting time in this week. This is kind of the only project, the only big project I have on the go right now, and I really, really, really want to finish this before the 1st. So my goal is to finish it before Sunday, block it, and then hopefully be able to talk to you about it. Well, I guess I might talk to you about it on the 1st and then block it, and then take a few photos and then send it off. The baby has not been born yet, as far as I can tell. There's been no notification on Facebook, so I'm not quite, I'm not late yet. I expect that I will be a little bit late because I want to say she was due around the 15th or the 20th, so my guess is she's not going to wait till the 1st, and I hope she doesn't. Anyway, so this is a baby blanket for a little boy. I was a little inspired by Charlie Brown, so I think the name is probably going to be something Charlie Brown inspired, and my hope is to have this pattern ready and available fairly soon into the new year. So that is kind of the big project that I'm working on. It is living in front of the television, and I'm doing at least 1 repeat, if not 2 repeats a night. And so that is definitely what I will be working on later today. And again, I hope I will be able to show it to you next week finished. I probably won't be blocked, although I guess I could wash it and dry it. I might do that. I might throw it in the washing machine and just wash it and dry it and see what I come up with, and then be able to take some photos. So that brings me to the second work in progress on my needles, which you guys have seen, and that is my Northeasterly blanket by Skinanigans, and I am knitting it in holiday colors, and I am not done yet for the season. So I don't know how much longer I will work on this. I fully expect that it is a project that will go into hibernation shortly, but at least right now I'm enjoying it, and so I'm going to continue on it. Again, it is Northeasterly, so it is a project where you're basically knitting kind of chevron points, and it's the same 2 rows over and over and over, and it's meant to be done with scraps, so you can use up any yarn that you have, and I have chosen to do it in kind of Christmas colorways. So, and I'm not super strict about what Christmas colorways are. If they remind me of Christmas lights or sweets or something like that, and they kind of fit in, I have been pulling them into the blanket. So I think think we left off, this is the first row, and then I have started adding the second, and I want to say we left off at graffiti last time. So since then I've added this red sparkle, which was a gift from a friend. I've added this one, which was some leftovers from Zen Yarn Garden. It's just a little bit left of, and I can't remember which colorway this is. It's one of their speckles that I knit into a shawl. This is a blue teal skein that I found in my stash. The dyer has since proven to be not a very nice person, and so I am not going to give them time or space here, but the skein was the right color, and I decided that I might as well put it into a project because I had already spent the money, and I like it. It almost looks like a chocolate chip, like a mint chocolate chip or something, but I liked that it was a little turquoisey. This is a skein that I got from Cozy Colorworks when I first went to Rhinebeck quite a few years ago, and it was something about vineyards or something, and I just absolutely loved it. It's super, super soft. It's just kind of this burgundy and black and green, and I made my sister a hat with the skein. And then this is just some burgundy that I got from my swap with my friend. If I had to guess, it might be Cascade Heritage. It feels a little bit like that, but I don't know for sure. And then the next two that I'm going to put in are, I have this mini that I bought a while ago. It's, it was from the National Park. Actually it's not. I think I bought it separately. It's just, it's white and it's got little specks of purple and pink, and it is from Bella Filato Fibers, and it was Glacier National Park. So I wanted to say, I think it had something to do with Indian Tangled's national parks, but I think I kept all those minis in one spot, so I don't think this came from that set, but I'm gonna put in a little bit of white with some colors, and then the next thing I want to do is put in, and yes, your eyes do not deceive you, this is what was a sock. This was a Christmas lights yarn that I got several years back. I made myself Christmas socks in this yarn, and then I went to try, and I used it for something else, and then I went to try and make Christmas socks for one of the children, and I got through the first sock and I barely had enough to start the second sock. So I kept the sock intact, not sure what I was going to do with it, and the answer is I'm going to pull it apart and use it. I pulled it apart and sent half of the sock, the whole foot, I sent to my friend in the swap who sent me the yarns, and so I have the first half of the sock. So I'm just going to knit it right off the sock and work on that. So these are the next two colors that I'm going to put in the blanket, and again, I'm just going to keep working on this as long as I want, and then when I decide I'm done with it for the season, I will put it away, and I will pick it back up next holiday season, or when next I feel like taking it out. This is not a project I expect to be done anytime soon. It's just one of those things where I wanted to use, like, there are a lot of happy memories of leftover socks, Christmas socks that I have knitted in this blanket, and some that I haven't knitted but bought for this purpose, and this yarn is this year's Christmas sock yarn, which is a great segue into this year's Christmas socks. So the only project that I have cast on, because I really am trying to get through that baby blanket, is I did do a Christmas Eve cast on. This was started by Little Bobbins Knits many years ago. She designs a sock yarn, she designs a sock pattern every year for Christmas. And she always really liked to, with her mom, cast on a pair of socks on Christmas Eve because she felt like it was special. And I actually have not knit very many of her patterns. I don't know if I've even knit one of her patterns. In general, her style is not my style. The socks for the last 2 years have had like a really pretty like fold over lacy kind of ruffle cuff, and that's really not my thing. But I do love her podcast. I love watching her during now she does kind of, now that she has a child, she does kind of an abbreviated Vlogmas. She does like a couple posts during the month. Anyway, but I always start, ever since she started that, I always start a pair of socks on Christmas Eve. And sometimes they're hand spun, they're usually Christmas socks, and so I usually don't have a new pair of Christmas socks each year. I finish them at Christmas and New Year's, and then I can wear them for the next year. So I've showed you this yarn a couple times now. This is from Nomadic Yarns. They are on Etsy, and I don't remember which base this is. I bought this on a D-stash on Ravelry. It was for a really good price. Her yarns are not expensive, but they are totally worth it. But I found this on a D-stash, and I was like, this is going to be this year's Christmas socks. Why wouldn't it be? So I bought it and I promptly misplaced the tag. So I don't know the colorway name, nor do I know the base. It's not her Brit sock base. I think it's just her Superwash Merino, although I really do like her Brit sock yarn base. I can't remember if it's BFL. It's a little sturdier, and I have a pair of socks in that I really like. But so this is the base. It's kind of a tight twist sock yarn. And I actually got fairly far. One of the things that my husband's family likes to do is play games, and so I knit while we played games, both on Christmas Eve and Christmas, and I actually got all the way through the heel. I mean, I'm not making these super tall, and but I got through the heel and the gusset. So that is what I've got. I really, really like them, and I don't even know if on the monitor it's coming out as nicely as it looks in real life. They're just bright and cheerful. So it's red and purple and 2 greens and gray. And then I found, well, I shouldn't say I found, my friend sent me a whole skein of Yawool in this bright Christmassy red to put in my blanket. And I really liked it, and it was close enough that I decided to use it for the heels. I don't think I'm going to use it for the toes. I think I'm going to do stripes all the way down to the toes. I just don't love to break up the stripes so much. I mean, I realize that it's still, okay. I realize that it still kind of breaks up the stripes because you've got the gusset, and so the stripes are real skinny around the gusset, so it's not 100%, but I don't like to break up the stripes to go into the heel and then start again, and so I just like putting it in a separate heel. I suppose I could have done a short row heel and kind of made it all nice, but I really like heel flap and gusset. So I just did my slip stitch heel flap, my little gusset, and then I went back to my regular, and I will knit this down to the foot, and then I will start the second one. And I should have the first one finished next week, and my hope is that I will have the second one finished the week after, and then I will probably wear them once or twice, and then I'll put them away and hang on to them until next year. But I really, really like them. This bright green, just all of the colors, they're just super fun. They're not traditional Christmas colors, but they are fun anyway. So that is the other thing that I have been working on, and like I said, I worked on that while we played games because it was really easy to pick up and put down and not have to pay attention to where I'm at. I'm just doing a very simple sock pattern. It's a 60 stitch. I did the 2x2 ribbing up at the top and the slip stitch heel flap, and I can practically knit these with my eyes closed. So I basically did almost a full stripe repeat. I guess I started on I cast on with the gray, and so I went through the green and then moved on, and so I will do this and knit the final one, and then whatever I have left over, I already sent some to my friend that I swapped with, and so the rest of this will go into my blanket. So that is what I've got for knitting. I will be working on the baby blanket and on the socks this week and hopefully finishing those up. The northeasterly blanket basically lives in front of my computer screen, so while I have a few minutes while things are loading, or if I have a call that I have to be on, that's kind of when I work on that project. Oops, I lost one of my needles. Let me put this back in there so I don't forget that later. So the only other thing I have to show you, and it's not super exciting, is I do have I finished the singles on my spin, so it's not even a finished yarn yet. I will work on that this week. We skipped knit night on Sunday because normally we meet on Wednesdays and Sundays, and that's when I spend quite a bit of time at my spinning wheel. Sorry, my nose is running just a little bit. I think the change in the weather. So I spend time on my spinning wheel on Wednesdays and Sundays when we have our knit night call, and we didn't do that on Sunday because it was Christmas Eve and we were all with family. But we're going to pick that back up this week on Wednesday, and actually we might even spend New Year's Eve together. We haven't decided yet. I gotta see, excuse me, what, if anything, Wes has in mind for us, and everybody's kind of going to check with their partners, and we'll see, and we might hang out together a little bit on New Year's Eve as well. So that is what I'm going to be playing this week, probably Wednesday, and I haven't picked another spin yet. I think I might spin for some socks. It's very funny. I woke up this morning and it was very cold in the house because the temperature has definitely dropped in the last day or so. And I opened my drawer to pick out some woolen socks to wear. And it's funny because all of the hand spun socks, which are like the warmest ones I have because generally they tend to be more sport weight than fingering weight, and I also tend to want to use up all the hand spun, so I knit them very tall. So they're like tall, warm socks. All of them are in the basket where the socks are to be washed. So I need to wash some of them today. But I was like, oh, I don't have any more handspun socks in the drawer. That tells me A, I need to wash my handspun socks, and B, I need to knit more handspun socks. So I'm thinking about, I have some fiber that I got at Plyaway this year from, I think from Gritty Knits, and it is a sock yarn base, and yarn that it is a few different bumps of things that are meant to be put together kind of in a leftover sock yarn. And so I'm thinking that might be my next spin, so I can cast on some more handspun socks. I do have a pattern that I'd like to make, and that I saw, and it would be good for slightly thicker handspun, so I was thinking about maybe spinning something and working on those next. I still have not worked out exactly what I want to do for next year. My sample knitting schedule has gotten a little bit later, which means I'm going to have more time for my own projects in the coming months, and that is making me think about a lot of different things. So I want to decide on a project that I can knit as a charity knit. Every year I support Knit the Rainbow, which is an LGBTQIA charity designed to support those who are facing houselessness as a function of their as a function of their sexual orientation. So LGBTQIA youth who are not allowed to stay in their homes. And so we send things, we donate items for them to keep warm in the winter. And I have knit hats, I have knit scarves, and then last year I listened to a podcast with the founder, Austin Rivers, who talked about the things that people need most often are things for their hands and feet, and so last year I knit socks, and I have been thinking very seriously about this year knitting mittens. If you know me, you know that I don't like thumb holes. It's basically the issue that I have with thumbs is I always feel like no matter how many stitches I pick up, there is a hole in the thumb, like right around where I create the extra stitches and then where I pick up and stuff. So I don't love thumbs, but the idea might be that this year I'm gonna do 6 or 8 pairs of mittens to then donate when the, I know it's currently chilly, but I don't have a box full of stuff now. The way I usually do this is I knit during the winter and all through the year, and then come October when donations open up, I send off boxes full of donations for the year. So it's not that I don't think I could knit and donate now, I just like to kind of group them all together and then have a whole box to send in the fall. So I still have a, behind me, I have a box. You can see the fabric box here, the gray one. I have another one on the bottom shelf that is full of leftovers and partial and full skeins, like leftovers from projects. And I have yarn left over from both the kids' sweaters from this year, so I have those that I could use to make mittens. Plus I also have handspun. I have a variety of things that I could use. And so I'm trying to think about what things I want to make this year, and I'm thinking that I might settle on mittens. I don't know whether I'll do a rainbow of mittens or I'll just do a bunch of different mittens, but my goal is probably going to be 6 to 8 pairs of something this year, either mittens or socks. I might do mittens this year. So that will be one thing. I'd like to do some hats to donate. I ordered yarn. I can't remember if I mentioned this last week. I ordered yarn to make my niece a blanket. My niece got married this past year. I talked about that. And we didn't have a ton of notice for the wedding. She got engaged in the spring and she said she thought she'd be getting married in the fall, but we didn't know. And then she let us know maybe like, well, technically we received final confirmation about 3 weeks before the wedding, but so I just didn't have time to plan as I normally do, and I would like to knit her and her husband a blanket, and they have 2 rescue pit bulls, so it's going to be in acrylic actually, because I'm concerned that I'm concerned with pets and claws pulling and that kind of stuff. So I am knitting. I ordered a whole whack of Barocco Comfort from Eat Sleep Knit, and I ordered them in her wedding colors. And so I've picked out a blanket. It's a slip stitch blanket pattern, and so my plan is to cast that on as soon as I finish the baby blanket, and work on that until it's complete, so that I will have that in time for their first anniversary, which won't be till October. But I like to plan ahead, and particularly with a big blanket project, if it's not something I'm going to work on consistently, which it might not be. So those are kind of the only two things that I have planned for the beginning of the year. I have that Halloween quilt where I cut out the blocks, and so I would like to put that together, and I would like to quilt that. And that is what I have right now. I think I also would like to make my chicken a priority in the first few months of this year. I work for the City Girl Farm making chicken feathers. They are sculptural chicken footstools that are covered in knit and felted pieces, and so I do some spinning and primarily knitting for them. But once you work there on a consistent basis, you can make a chicken for yourself. And so I am knitting feathers for a chicken for me. Actually, I will grab those because they are right here. Hold on. I have started working on the feathers for mine, and I don't have a lot because I only work on them kind of when I have nothing else to do, which is not that I don't like working on them. I just get distracted with other things. But I am making a chicken for myself out of my hand spun, and also out of some yarn that I bought a couple years ago at Ply-Away that I decided not to use for myself. So I am making feather units. These are the kinds of feather units that I make for chickens at the City Girl Farm. And the hand spun that I am using is called Enchilada Night. It was dyed by Hello Yarn, and I picked up a pound bag of it, of odds and ends, which is fine. She sells the seconds, which are just little bits of leftover from the braid, and I spun that up, and I am knitting that with the neutral colorway is some Shetland that I picked up from Ross Farms several years ago at Ply-Away, and I picked it up intending to make a cardigan with it. But Ross Farms is they raise heritage breeds of sheep, and they also their thing is minimally processed wool. So they try not to handle the wool too much. And what I found is that there is lots of vegetable matter in this wool. And as I was knitting it, I wasn't super thrilled with that. It was like falling out of my lap. And I was thinking, oh, I don't know how much I'm going to want to wear this sweater because it may shed. And but I decided that it was perfect for a chicken. So don't ask me why, but I am working on it in a chicken, and it's going to be immortalized? Yeah. Immortalized, memorialized in a chicken. So I have feathers. Again, this is Enchilada Night, and it's a really interesting mix of like the pastels and then some of the darker colors. And so I have spun it into singles, and I am just knitting up stacks of feathers, and you can see they come out a little differently. I don't love the low contrast areas, but I think there won't be like a ton of those. I think there'll be some, but not a lot. Like you can see the pastels, and then into the darker colors, there's greens and browns and apricot and purple. And so they just kind of range through these. And so these are the ones that I've done so far. I have many, many, many more to do. I have quite a bit of spinning to do because I probably can do a couple more before I am out of the hand spun, but I have plenty of it. This was kind of the first, I did a first ball or two just to see if I would like how they knit up, and I do. So I am collecting these, and one day these will grow up and be a full chicken. And so that is, a goal would be to finish knitting all those feathers. And I probably need, what do I have here? I have 6 there. I probably need 40. So I have a ways to go. But I could make that a project in the first month or two of the new year and kind of get that off my plate and out. And then I'm sure other things will come up as I see things I'm inspired by. I have plenty of yarn to knit. There's no fear of a lack of craft supplies. It's just kind of finding patterns that call my name and things that I want to jump into. Okay, So it has been 30 minutes. I think I'm going to let you go. I hope that if you celebrated Christmas and if you celebrate Boxing Day, you have wonderful holidays. I know we are getting towards the end of the year, which for me is always a little bittersweet. Some people have had wonderful years. Some people have not had wonderful years. I totally get that. I also get that the end of the year is stressful with holidays and family and thinking about kind of the end of one and the beginning of another. And I realize that it's not everyone's favorite time of year. I am going to work this week, which I think is going to give me enough kind of stuff to do that I won't have too much time for reflection to you know, wallow in my thoughts. So instead, I am just going to enjoy some tea and some crafts and snuggle in with my husband. He has the week off work. I'm trying not to be jealous. And I am going to craft a bunch, and I will podcast on New Year's Day because we don't have a ton of plans. We're going to run first thing in the morning because we're crazy. My husband signed up for the Hangover Half Marathon, and I got talked into signing up for the 10K that morning. And I was optimistic when we signed up because the weather was in the 50s and 60s, and now it's supposed to be in the 20s. So it is going to be mighty cold. So we're going to get out early-ish in the morning and get our health on, you know, start the year as you mean to go on. And then my plan is to come home and cuddle up in a big blanket and my pajamas and not do anything for the rest of the day. But I will podcast and I will show you whatever I have been working on. So I hope you have a wonderful week ahead and a wonderful end of the year. And I will say, as I always do, happy spinning, happy knitting, happy sipping, and I'll see you next time. Bye.